Shane.
Go away.
Guess what?
Go away.
Guess what today is?
Last day.
How do you feel about that?
Like I want to sleep in.
When I got holes through all my clothes, when I'm only skin and bones, I'll come home to you. I'll come home to you. When I've seen the world in all its glory, felt the burning on the morning, when I'm alive again, when I'm alive again.
Why? It's a good question.
I think Cross Canada was always a dream of mine.
Why not is really the best question, I think.
I hold those clothes you made for me. You are mine and you are precious. Let me bring you something small. Let me bring the sky.
I just had to do it just for the adventure and for the love of the water.
And you made me rich. I baked you a bread. I caught you a fish. You're a seamstress, a lady of grace. You gave me a name and you gave me a face. Alright.
The Cross Canada Canoe Odyssey was a 6-month adventure across Canada by canoes. So it was a fully human-powered event.
There was no saying no when the opportunity came around.
I guess it all starts with a dream. So coming up with enough crazy people that want to do something like this, that think it's important or think that it's worth their time.
My name's Shane Ringham. Before this trip, I'd only canoed, maybe maximum about 12 times. Why do you gotta talk to me about me?
My name's NATHALIE, BRUNET. I like paddling and I thought it'd be a nice way to see the country at a slower pace. Like to go on just mini adventures.
My name's PHILLIPS. I love paddling.
Do you have any idea who I think I am?
My name is WHITNEY VANDERLEEST. I travel around a lot. That's all. Anything more?
My name is Abby Lewis. I'm from Liverpool, Nova Scotia originally. Did I say I'm living in Prince George? That's about it.
My name is Stephanie Robertson. I am an exercise therapist and I was part of the Cross Canada Canoe Odyssey. If you're going to do a big trek like Canoe Across Canada, you've got to do it for a cause. You've got to raise awareness for something.
So we did this for the Nature Conservancy of Canada, raising both money and awareness for their organization. And they're a non-for-profit organization that protects land by actually purchasing it and placing it under conservation.
Canadian Heritage River System is actually a subdivision of Parks Canada. And what they do is they work on designating certain rivers as heritage rivers.
It's not just conserving rivers, but it's encouraging people to get out and use them in a responsible way.
It's a lot easier to just kind of stay home, but it's really important to sort of challenge yourself and get out to do these kinds of things. So I'm really happy that we're here.
Okay, try and sit up taller though.
If we're paddling, we're not in stroke and we're paddling with poor strokes, there's no way we were going to make it the whole way across the country in one season. It just wasn't going to be possible. So we knew we needed to be pretty efficient. And so I kind of had taken it upon myself, I've done a lot of coaching in the past, that I would teach Shane how to paddle.
The hardest physical challenge was learning how to paddle.
I was just mean sometimes. Like there was days that I was just so hard on him, you know, and for him, I like now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, that would be pretty tough. Like he didn't really know me. He doesn't really know that my background is to race canoes. And, you know, and so we struggled a little bit, but he got really good by the end.
I'm learning more about why I'm on this trip every day that I'm here. Recently, I realized it's great that we're inspiring other people to do things, and I'm really stoked about that. Everybody that asks me questions are like, "What are you doing?" You tell them, and their face just lights right up. Not only do they think it's a fantastic idea, but they all want to do something similar. Maybe they don't want to go canoeing across the country, but it kind of helps to inspire them to get out of their own shell.
Whoa! Where are we right now? I don't know. Look at these tracks. By my zoom, he looks so close.
It always starts off this way. It starts off with this beautiful, beautiful day, and we're at the end of Lake Kinbasket. And the reservoirs, or it's a big reservoir in BC, and they've drawn it down because it's early in the spring, and they're getting ready for the snowmelt. It was a strange lake because it was like being at the bottom, or being on the moon, you know? It was just these clay banks, and it's cool, and there's all these deadheads everywhere.
We're zigzagging through this 9-keel little stuffs that are in the water. Some of them are poking up, and every now and again my paddle hits one that's only 3 inches under the surface. You cannot see it. There's like next to no visibility. So it's kind of amazing we haven't hit one yet.
But eventually we just got to the end of the lake, like the lake just ended. And it was one of the first days that we used our smaller wheels. So we put the boat on the boats on these smaller wheels, but it was really slippery, so you're slipping and sliding, and the wheels aren't going well, and you know, we hadn't figured out the balance, or just didn't have a good system yet for carrying the boats that way.
So we're pretty close finally to our campsite. It's getting kind of late. We had thought we were going to put in a half day here today, and instead we're putting in an epic day. Shane's excited.
We had a mixture of just about everything you could think of portaging.
Nobody, well, maybe some people like it, but most people don't like portaging. They like canoeing, you know? Like, I'm not going on a portage trip, I'm going on a canoe trip.
So I had been having some problems with my hands, like a little bit of carpal tunnel, and I hadn't really had any sensation in my hands for about a month. As soon as we started biking, I'd lose sensation all through my arms and hands.
Like think of like the way the exercise and just.
I don't know what happened exactly, but before I knew it, like my face just smashed on the pavement, and I remember like so clearly, like my face actually on the pavement, just being like, oh no. And I climb out and I'm holding my face, and I'm like, oh, am I bleeding? I start asking if I'm bleeding as my sunglasses are just filling up with blood, and my knees are hurt. And Steph's like freaking out, like, oh my God, are you okay? I was fine. But it was scary. I've never actually fallen off a bike before.
Uh-oh. She's crushed her hand. And her whole arm. Are you okay, Nat? Are you okay, Abby? Is your arm okay? So today we've had to portage a lot.
And portaging is hard.
Yes, it is. It's very hard. Much harder than canoeing.
Good job, Shano. How you feeling?
Oh, great. Shoulders, pain,
Oh,
progress. Good.
How's the portaging going?
Good. We're in quite a little winter wonderland.
What are you doing back there, Abby?
I'm not gonna be able to see.
this is funny.
Where are you, Alberta?
Well, that's how portaging is kind of going, I guess.
I thought we kept the carts on most of the time. We pushed through, but now we're pulling them like a toboggan.
No, we're not.
We're not?
No, carts off.
You're documenting incorrect.
Sometimes it's hard working in a large group when you have things that you want to get done and there's lots of like strange ideas floating around.
In functioning in that role, I think I had to ultimately make decisions on everyone's behalf, and I think I tried as hard as I could, or at least put a good effort into incorporating everyone's opinion or needs into those decisions.
You know, you can kind of get it done this way. It's like, okay, I want to do it this way, and then there's so much input that you're just like, no, I just kind of want to do it my way. You just screw off, you know. Like.
But naturally, not all decisions are to the liking of everyone, and I'm sure that I made people upset on one or many occasions.
But then I broke a whole bunch of branches and stuff while making trail, and that made me feel pretty awesome.
How's that feel, Shane?
Excellent. Just shot down my first real Christmas tree ever.
And then we had a snowball fight.
My teeth hurt. My teeth hurt right now. And it's either sunburnt my gums or because Shane hit me in the face with a snowball. Both are quite likely.
And that made me feel even better.
There was a few times when, yeah, you kind of get tired of it and you're kind of sick, but it turns into a lifestyle. It's no more tiring than work can be after doing it for 6 months, you know. So you just get up the next morning and always share a laugh and keep going.
On the whole, it was good for a hard day. We didn't make a lot of kilometers, but that's all right. We will tomorrow.
This is Howse Pass behind us. This is what we crossed today. And it took us a few days, but we actually made it over the hump today. And it's been a rough few days, so I'm looking forward to actually getting our boats and paddling rather than, I think out of the last 34 days, we spent 22 days portaging. So it'll be nice to actually do some real paddling.
So one of my big roles was to organize the food and figure out how much food we needed for this trip.
I'd say we had like 12 different meals for supper, generally 3 different breakfasts, and lunch, again, about 12 different lunches, I'd say.
Oatmeal. I get sick of oatmeal. Oatmeal every day. Never even liked oatmeal that much.
But at every point we get a whole new whack of food in these bins that we've shipped out to different places throughout Canada. And then we get them, and then we check them, we double check them to make sure that all the goodies that are supposed to be in there are in there. So we've got a breakfast, a lunch, a supper, typically some energy bars, and then a nice little treat. But the river's so cold that I can't even spread that our lunch is frozen, or may as well be.
At one point I probably dropped, I'd say 25 pounds relative to my normal weight. At that point you start to lose some of your strength.
I underestimated how much the boys would eat. So I assumed they'll eat twice as much as I do. It's more like 3 to 1, you know? So we kind of jigged those numbers a bit and would recognize that, you know, once we got into town, we'll just grab more of something, and then so they would eat more, but never with the treats. So with the chocolate bars and with the cookies, it was always like, no, we're splitting this equally, you know, for everybody.
I regained my kind of comfortable weight, was stronger, and just not nearly as ravenous whenever I would get food.
What's for dinner tonight, Natalie?
Lentil soup, lentil stew.
Lentil stew.
It was lentil salad, and then it got wet in the bottom of the boat. Now we're having lentil stew.
Let's see what it does look like.
Looks pretty good. It's got cashews, little bits. We added some bean soup, some black bean soup. Some
Feta
tomatoes.
cheese?
Yeah, feta cheese.
Interesting.
We were thirsty. It was early in the morning. We'd gotten up to ride our bikes. We pulled into the drive-thru, or like we were gonna ride through the drive-thru.
Hi, unfortunately we can't take you at the drive-thru. You have to come in. It's only for motor vehicle.
To our gross displeasure and dismay, we were not served.
Sorry, it just comes policy, store policy. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. I mean,
Rules are rules, man. I think it's a stupid rule.
I think it might have been my neon spandex onesie jumpsuit that threw them off.
We're building sails.
Today we have an awesome tailwind, and so we decided to make the most of it and use a sail.
Wind can be great. Wind can be wonderful. There was one day we sailed like 110 kilometers in a day. Yeah, on the river, on the North Sask into North Battleford. It was amazing. Oh.
It's funny because, you know, you sometimes start out a trip like this thinking that it's gonna, you know, make a big change in your life or whatever, and I love that this trip, that it's in our backyard. You don't even need a passport. That, I don't know, it's all so close by, yet it's still a pretty grand adventure. And yeah, I just love the simplicity.
Really, I feel like we're on the ocean. It sounds like it. And it's like this lunar, holy shit.
The seas is heavy today. Lake Winnipegosis is angry.
The wind can also, yeah, be a real pain in the ass.
How's it been for you, Ross?
It's good. It'd be nice to get out of the wind. The islands, like the waves refracting off the islands are making it, the waves are doing a lot of fun things. It's gotten kind of tricky to ride them.
There's gonna be a storm, there's bears, I'm tired because there's a headwind all day long.
It was one of the scariest times of my life, and just that we had these 10-foot swells and capping waves that would actually cap on the boat, and they'd cap on the boat and you'd have about 6 inches of water going across your spray deck.
It's like an ocean, and Steph and I were paddling and we got hit by a really giant wave from the side, crested kind of on us and nearly tipped us over.
Immediately after that moment, you begin to question whether or not it's a good decision to be out there, whether or not you have the skills you need to make it through.
Well, this is slightly nerve-wracking, eh?
The thing about situations like that is it immediately compromises your confidence.
But yeah, definitely just one of the hairiest times I've ever been in, and one of the hairiest times of the trip for sure.
It's so beautiful.
I'm getting a little grumpy, but yeah, it's going really well. I love this life. There's really nothing to complain about ever. And just the mosquitoes, that's all there is to complain about. I think there's one inside my net right now.
Right, we're lying inside the tent and you can hear the buzz of mosquitoes. Check this out. Ew, all mosquitoes.
I'm getting nervous about what lies ahead.
How come? Why's that?
The bugs.
We had a couple times where the mosquitoes were pretty bad, mostly in like eastern Saskatchewan and western Manitoba. I'd say they'd be the worst.
They're everywhere.
But they were terrible.
There's thousands of them.
I think bugs bug NATHALIE a little bit more. One time there's like a horsefly on my face, and she just like slapped me to get the horsefly, and I really didn't mind about the horsefly, but
But the slap.
but getting slapped wasn't sweet.
You pull your pants down to go to the washroom. You get thousands of bugs, thousands of bites. You can probably see them in front of the lens, trying to bite the camera.
You never wanted to get off the water, really, because they would just attack. You could hear them from the shore, or from the water on the shore. It's just a hum, a constant dreadful sound. Yeah, the mosquitoes were awful. You know, we're all getting in the boats and we're pushing off, and then Shane's like, oh, hold on guys, I'm just gonna go back in the woods, you know, and we're like, okay, fine.
I was finishing going to the bathroom and I looked down and I had spiders crawling all out of my pants and all up my legs. There were spider nests everywhere.
And then he comes out like 20 seconds later, you know, and he's just like, that's it, we're leaving, let's go, you know? And we're like, well, Shane, didn't you have to? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it, we're leaving.
And one had just literally hatched in my underpants. And these things were all over the place.
I'm still unclear if like they'd been living in his pants since the morning, or if he just, somehow they dropped in when he dropped his pants, but who cares?
Some of the bugs were a big surprise. And I was a bit creepy for a few days after that, I'd say.
Raging tailwind, raging sidewind. Move very fast.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Stephanie.
So tell me about Lake Superior.
Big.
Beautiful. Very clear water.
Pet.
Cold. A little cold, yeah.
Lake Superior can be pretty vicious, and you know, you hear a lot of horror stories of it treating people pretty poorly. But we had a few beautiful glass days on the lake, and for me that kind of really summed up the trip. You know, I definitely had to fight with my very competitive side at the start of the trip, and just in, you know, I'm very used to being busy and, you know, getting a lot of things done and trying to slow down.
The simplicity of it all, when you're just like with friends paddling in this amazing place, and like, this is my favorite. This is my favorite day, you know?
Lake Superior is beautiful, hands down, like just like nice, crisp, clear water. And our trip went through quite a few towns. So Lake Superior is one of the only places where we were more isolated.
Emotionally, you're kind of always, your body's always busy, but there then I definitely felt just completely at peace.
And it just feels like flying when it's like that. Like you're like clear reflection of sky to water, and you don't even know where you are. And paddling that day for some reason just seemed so easy. It was just like, yeah, just like paddling in a dream. You're just totally flying.
I don't know if it was that we were at that length into the trip or if it was the majesty of the lake, but there's definitely something beautiful about that spot.
I'm sad to say goodbye to the Great Lakes. Well, in a way. I'm excited to move on, but also sad to see them go because they were really, really beautiful.
Man, every time I'm so sad to close the last chapter, but you know, I never knew how exciting each next one would be. It just keeps getting more and more beautiful.
It's a cacophony of sound and people and senses. It's quite a different take than what we've kind of come accustomed to. But it's been pretty neat to see so many people. There's lots of questions, lots of curiosity about what we're doing.
So here we are, Old Montreal.
Then we had to cross the St. Lawrence, well, the channel to Ile d'Orléans. That was where things got a little stressful.
It was pretty funny actually. I'd had about, 3-4 cups of coffee.
Yeah, I'd only had one, not enough. Not enough.
So we were coming along and there's this big cement wall.
Metal.
There's a big a boat coming around the other side.
Container ship.
Huge loaded container ship.
Dodging ferries too. Don't
Oh
forget
yes,
the
we
ferries.
were dodging ferries, yes.
From Libby.
As there was waves coming from every direction and it was absolutely ridiculous.
I was less than happy. A little
But
bit
you did
stressed.
awesome.
But then it got better. Things got so much better. Once we crossed the main channel, the main shipping lane of the St. Lawrence River.
We could laugh about it.
Yes, it's okay now.
So, the ride was going good today, but now we dance. It's never a wrong time to dance.
Interpretive dad, the only medium I truly understand.
Sometimes words just won't do it.
I remember that there was spontaneous dancing.
Things get weird.
Dancing's an excellent medium of expression.
Just being with very active, very physical people leads to dancing.
I feel nice. Like sugar and spice.
You'd have to go on a long, extended trip and understand how, how you gotta keep yourself entertained, and then you'll understand the dancing.
To the bike!
Poison ivy. Not a fan. I did get a bit on my legs, and it's amazing how that stuff travels everywhere. And it's just quite uncomfortable.
This is my poison ivy. It's pretty nasty. It's spreading to my other leg now. And I'm not very happy about it.
I think I had poison ivy, and so I thought mine was bad because it, started at my ankles and worked its way all the way up my leg. A little bit awkward, but then Ross got poison oak, and I realized that my problems were very small.
Monday, September 19th.
I'm just gonna do a little videotape of changing my bandages. So I've been using paper towel with duct tape and a lot of isopropyl alcohol to keep everything clean. I lost pretty much all the skin from my mid-thigh down, and dealing with the infections from that while continuing to move. And at one point we had, I think it was an 80-kilometer portage over 3 days. Continuing to walk and move was quite a challenge. Yeah, so like this part here has been the worst for the last couple days. But overnight, the top of my foot
Yeah, that's all new, hey?
has, well, it was a little bumpy yesterday, but certainly not the like water blisters.
Yeah, I mean, all the skin on his legs from just above his knees down fell off, boiled up in these great big blisters and fell off.
At least you don't look so much like you have elephantitis in your legs anymore, though, just in your feet.
That's a goose.
And we didn't know how sick he was, you know, he was pretty, he kind of started getting a little grumpy, and, you know, we knew he wasn't quite right, that things were off, but he didn't really show us how bad it really was.
I needed to get to a hospital. I needed to get antibiotics. The infection in my legs was spreading quite quickly, and it was in great amount of discomfort.
His lymph nodes were really quite swollen up, his legs were swollen, and he needed some antibiotics. And so we were on the St. Lawrence River, going to Rivière-du-Loup.
It was white capping and it was raining, and, you know, it was a bit of a dreary day for sure.
There he is. They're not very big, hey?
But we found beluga whales, which are awesome.
And I turn around and look behind me, and all I see is this white something coming in super fast towards our canoe, right up underneath me, and I screamed super loud, and it just sort of sunk away.
And these whales were swimming all around the boats and playing with us, and it was absolutely incredible. And Ross just couldn't even enjoy it. It's like probably one of the most magical moments of my life, and Ross just had to keep going. He's just like, has to get to the hospital because he was not enjoying himself.
And they didn't touch it.
Can definitely empathize with everyone else in enjoying them so much.
That was a pretty grand finale if we have to leave.
My favorite memories are not necessarily like full days or events, but just like moments within days when you have just like the perfect water and the perfect scenery, and you know, you're just so happy. 70% sad. 30% happy because it is exciting, you know? To like reach the goal, but then I'll realize what that means.
Like mostly sad. It's such a good group of people, and I know I'm gonna miss them a lot when I finally go. This. It smells really bad. It smells like dead fish.
I like canoeing. I like it a lot.
I learned that I'm allergic to clindamycin.
I've learned a lot about myself, how to chill out a little more sometimes. Get a little crazy at the start of the trip.
I don't know. I suppose you're looking for something deeper.
Trip over.
Guess what today is?
Last day.
How do you feel about that?
Like I want to sleep in.
What day is it?
Today's the last day of the Cross Canada Canoe Odyssey.
And we got 45K into the finish.
It's gonna be a lot like every other day, except with a more exciting ending, I think.
So be a good, reasonable day, not anything pushing it.
Feels like Christmas morning.
Yeah?
Feels good. Yeah, totally. So the camaraderie, I think, is what I will miss.
What's something you're looking forward to when you go home?
Doing things on my own.
I said the first day was one of relief of getting started, and I'd say the last day is relief of something being complete.
Past those mountains and past those hills, there's a place I will find again.
You know, what was going through my mind is just how it didn't even feel like the last day.
It was joy, and it was excitement, and we were proud. I was proud.
And we were all a bit tired at the end. You know, the weather was a bit gloomy and whatnot.
So it kind of just came like crashing into this place, and then there's this big cruise boat. So when we do the bridge race and then try not to get run over by the cruise boat, and then come in and there's the dock, and it was really special.
We were, gonna be leaving each other. How do you do that?
Off to St. John.
You get to the end and it's kind of closing the book on a chapter.
You can actually make your dreams real. It actually happens. You can take the biggest dream you can think of and make it happen. And then soon enough, or maybe years down the road, you'll realize you're actually living in that dream.
It was just a feeling of relief, joy, and time to start something new.
We spent 2 years planning for this trip, so it was a fairly long chapter that we were sort of, you're almost surprised to see it end.
Next for me, that is the hardest question ever. Doing things in my own backyard. Not necessarily 6 months, but 6 hours.
I'm not really sure what's next.
I don't know. I kind of fly by the seat of my pants.
There's so much I want to do.
If I do plan on traveling from the Athabasca Glacier out through Tuktoyaktuk.
Just trying to build back a little bit into being sort of normal. It's kind of hard to do.
Even some more like domestic adventures. I just got married, hope to have a family.
I mean, I have ideas for big canoe trips up north or down south, or a bike trip, around the world, or we've got a bunch of ideas like that.